What's good? What is going on, everyone? So another last time you see me do one of these videos. I had a full head of hair, and I will explain to you why all of that is gone. It was intentional. It hasn't fell out, although I feel like it probably fucking could have with the way the last 4 weeks have gone. But I just wanted to make a video about my circumstances over the last 4 weeks and kind of what's happened. You'll notice I haven't posted in a while because everything's just been going to shit, quite frankly. And to cut a long story short, I am very, very overtrained at the minute. If you don't know, I was aiming to run a 3:45 marathon, get to sub 10% body fat, all in the midst of moving house, running a business, trying to make content, trying to do all the jazz that comes with being a personal trainer in 2025. And it didn't work. At first, I was training 7 times a week. First 6, 7, 8 weeks felt absolutely fantastic. And then I was floored with an illness. I started picking injuries up, and if you know me, I do not get injured ever, and I picked 3 up. And quite frankly, everything just started to fall apart. My mindset was not in the best place because I was unable to train and had to take a week off training and then a couple of weeks with massively tapered volume. It made me realise that I wasn't looking after number one. I wasn't sitting down and getting in control of my mind, because usually training is my conduit for doing that. And that is not me saying that if you train, you don't need therapy, you don't need to journal, you don't need to meditate. Of course you do, and I'm about to explain why that is the case in a minute. But 9 times out of 10, going to the gym made me feel absolutely fantastic. And on the days where I didn't have that, I really did start to feel like shit. And it's given me a bit of a wake-up call, to be honest. And not only because I actually ended up in a chronically overtrained state, but also because it's helped me relate to how a lot of my prospective clients, or maybe you watching this video, actually experiences life and making big changes at once. I thought that I was going to be absolutely fine handling a ridiculously high training load, and the reality is that I wasn't. And it made me realise that there's a lot of people who do try and get in shape, try and overwhelm themselves straight away with all the things they need to be doing. And then 4 weeks in, they end up feeling a little bit fucked and they get rid of it. Now, thankfully for me, I have a coach, and also I am a coach, so I can recognise that this is what is going on and these are the necessary steps that we need to take to deload and to help ourselves feel a little bit better again. But the overwhelming majority of people can't tell the difference between, oh, my training isn't working, and oh no, I've just tried to take on too much, and then they just end up abandoning the whole thing. So this last 4 weeks, I realised that there were quite a few missing pillars in life, if you like, and I harp on about managing life stress all the time, because when it comes to training, that is stress. If we look at life as like a bucket, and every little thing we do, training, going out, worrying about your finances, worrying about seeing your friends, worrying about your kids, all these things add to that bucket of stress, and your nervous system can't differentiate between all those different types of stress. Now, if your life bucket is full to the brim, your training bucket is going to overflow and everything is just going to start feeling awful. Like for me, in runs, legs felt really heavy. When I was lifting, my fucking warm-up sets were feeling heavy. I was thinking, shit, this is really fucking hard. I was getting to the point where I was like on the floor in the gym after leg sets, because I know obviously you have lots of muscle fibers in them. It takes quite a lot out of you, and me just literally doing a hamstring curl or a back squat was like, oh, it just felt like fucking death. And the mental fatigue that surrounded that was just me questioning myself, thinking like, why is this not working? Why is that not working? And it wasn't until I sat down about a week and a half ago and was like, right, let's do a very basic self-coaching mechanism. What are you not doing? And I realised I wasn't doing anything I enjoyed. I wasn't journaling. I wasn't meditating as much as I should have been, and when I was, it was more of a tick box exercise. And I was overstimulating and perhaps underfueling in terms of micronutrients. And I'm going to explain in depth a little bit more about these pillars during the course of this video, and I'll try not to make it too long because I do just want to get to the point. But the first thing we will talk about is life stress. Now, when I look at anxiety and what the definition of it is, I always just like to say it's the consequence of lots and lots of open loops in the mind. So, for example, when you are training, if you feel as though, shit, I wasn't able to do that, I wasn't able to lift this weight, why is that? That's an open loop. If you feel like you've got a bill to pay, that's an open loop. If you feel like there's some kind of uncertainty going on, me in particular, like when am I going to be moving house, what am I going to be doing, what's going to happen next year with work, all these things were open loops. And you can close these loops yourself with a little bit of self-awareness and a little bit of journaling and meditating and trying to find the answer. But when your mind is so overloaded with all of those things, there is no space for your brain to be creative when it comes to you actually sitting down and going, what is the solution to this problem? How can I fix it? Instead, it's just problems, and no space for solution. And that in itself, that level of mental fatigue, it can demotivate you. It can just make you question your whole existence and what you're doing. Like, I felt like I've had a fucking quarter life crisis over the last 4 weeks, to be perfectly honest. But really sitting down and journaling and writing some of these issues down made me realise, actually, this isn't as big of a problem as I thought. And in my mind, I was blowing it up to be this big scary bear when that just wasn't the case whatsoever. And so getting back into meditation, into journaling has really, really helped me out. The second thing was actually managing my training load. I, at times, think I'm Superman and I can just do anything, because I do generally have the state of mind that whatever I put my mind to, I can do it. I've never really failed at anything physically that I have wanted to do before. I've always pushed through and gritted through and been of that state of mind where nothing's going to stop me. But as of late, I was getting to the point where I actually just didn't feel like that. Like, I just thought, fuck this, I can't be arsed. There was like times I was just in the gym and I was seriously just like, I'm just going to bail this session, or I'm not going to put as much effort in, or I'd go home and I wouldn't put the effort into getting micronutrients into my food, and it would just be tick box of hitting the macros and not worrying about vitamins and meal timing and all the kind of things that I should be worried about. And slowly but surely, all these little decisions that I was making because I was in a state of stress added up to the point where they just come to a head, and I was like, I'm fucked. Like, my emotional load was just fucking, honestly, everything was just not going well. And that meant that sleep wasn't going well, because I was going to bed with all this shit going on in my mind, and I'm waking up early to train clients and going into a cold gym, and I just felt really, really fucking miserable. But over the last 7 days, I have took the steps to remedy that. And I started actually sitting within myself and thinking about how I actually feel at each moment, which I think is something we often pass up because we're so addicted to our phones or to being stimulated that we ignore what's going on inside our body. And so I would wake up in the morning and sit down and be like, how do I actually feel today? Like, what feels heavy? Why does it feel heavy? Why am I overthinking this or overthinking that? And actually just doing that made the day so much easier, and taking the pressure off myself in terms of training volume, where I was like, right, I know I've trained really, really well. I can just go in and tick the boxes, or maybe I can not train on, you know, a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and instead I can go out for a walk and breathe and chill and just sit in the sauna and relax a little bit. And that made the world of difference. That, along with rebuilding the nutritional foundation that I had been missing, just getting more vegetables in, like getting a little bit more fibre in, thinking a little bit more about, if I eat this at this time, how is it going to make me feel at that time, thinking about caffeine intake and when I should stop it, protecting me sleep routine a little bit more, and just bringing the fun back into training. I actually messaged my coach and was like, look, I know there's things that we need to do in order to grow or to achieve X or Y, but I know myself, and right now I need to be enjoying my training so that I'm going in and I can get into my flow a little bit more. And so can we get rid of this, this and this, and replace it with this, this and this, just for the time being? And thankfully, my coach is excellent. Like, he knows that I know what I'm talking about. And so quite often we collaborate on my program, and he does give me a lot of leeway where he can. And there will also be times where he's just like, no, this has to be done. And I'll absolutely accept that. But over the last week, the motivation to train has just been so much higher. I've felt so much happier. And the takeaway for me, and certainly for anyone watching this video, should be this. It might not be a program. It might not be that you are overtrained. It might be everything else. Like, it might be that you've just got so much going on, and that you haven't got the right structure to leverage when it comes to your training and your nutrition, and that life stress, poor sleep, feeling sad, not enjoying things, that feeling of chronic overwhelm is what's ruining you and what's really, really challenging you. And your body just will not adapt when you are overwhelmed. It will only adapt when you are supported. So my challenge to you, if you've watched all of this video, which to be quite frank, has just felt like a fucking journaling exercise for me, so I don't know whether this is going to be helpful to anyone whatsoever. But my challenge to you is this, is go back to the basics, pay attention to the factors that are upstream of training: sleep, stress, nutrition, emotional load, joy, life balance, and track them and like actually respect them, give them the same importance that you give your training, because training alone is not enough. The body is not just a fucking robot. We have to look out for our emotions. We have to look out for how we're feeling before we start to add this load to it. And this has been a massive wake-up call to me, and more of a realization that what I have preached over the last year is very, very fucking true. And it wasn't until I stopped doing all of those things that I realized the actual value in decompressing, stepping away from the screen, being outside in nature, and just breathing and being in the fucking present. It's so easy to get swept up and to get overwhelmed with everything that is going on in life. And then you will look back and be like, where the fuck have those 4 months gone? Like, I don't have any memories of it. All I've done is hustled my way through the entire process. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with sometimes just telling yourself you're being a little bit of a bitch and to just crack on. I tried that for the first 2 weeks where I was feeling shit, and it just made me feel worse. So yeah, that hustle more mentality only works when you've got the capacity to actually be hustling more. So if you've ever felt like this, or you do feel like this right now, let me know in the comments, talk to me. I am here to speak to anyone about it, because I've got experience doing this in the past. It probably won't be the last time I overtrain. I will probably make this mistake again, because we're all fucking human. It happens, life sweeps us up. But just remember, take a second out, breathe, chill the fuck out, and training like an animal is always going to be there. Running like an animal is always going to be there. But just stay on top of yourselves and keep that noggin in check.